serious? When was a moment where you were 99% sure you were going to die? Fell off a 70-foot cliff. As I was tumbling down, a voice inside my head said you are going to die, and I accepted that. Time seemed to slow down, and it was very peaceful. Then I hit the bottom and everything hurt, and I had a broken back and wrist. I'm okay now though. Dang, you had some enchanted diamond armor. I was on a roller coaster ride in Six Flags about 7 years ago. We get in, and I lock in my straps. Now this ride pulls you backwards and upwards as a sort of reverse slide. When we are at the top of this incline, I feel one of the straps snap off, and I can feel my body start to slide off my seat. I extend my hands to hold myself up using the seat in front of me, and then the ride starts. I hold on for dear life to the one strap that's still on the seat. The roller coaster does some corkscrew type of moves, and during the last spin I feel my butt begin to pull off the seat, and I just close my eyes and hope for the best. Luckily it all worked out as I'm here typing this out, reading this while my family is on a roller coaster at Six Flags. I think I made the right choice being the bag keeper. When I was crushed in a conveyor belt at work, even had to admit to myself I was going to die as I took my last breath before passing out. Luckily, I was pulled out of there by co-workers before the lack of being able to breathe did me in. It's tame by comparison to the rest, I think, but I flew down to visit my sister once, and a few hours before she took me back to the airport, I was putting something in the trunk of her car and the trunk door slammed down on my head. I got the expected headache and thought, okay, whatever. My head was still hurting when I boarded, but it was manageable until the plane pressurized after takeoff. Oh my god. It literally felt like someone was squeezing my skull into pieces. I felt like my eyes were going to pop out and my head would actually explode from sheer pain. I wanted to get the flight attendant's attention, but I think if I would have moved even slightly, I would have passed out. So it was 2 hours of pure agony. But then, as we descended lower and lower, it slowly eased off until I could function again. My first panic attack, that I was convinced was a heart attack, and then years later, when I had a heart attack, split my head open while deep in a forest, miles away from a logging road. I moved as fast as I could to the road. Blood was pouring everywhere, and I thought that this might be it. Luckily was immediately able to catch a ride to the hospital, where they put 14 staples in my head. When I tried to hang myself, then my fetus broke the rope. Yeah, it was a wake-up call, because it was a pretty strong rope, so I'm starting to work out more. Although I'm still pissed the rope broke. I'd just given birth to my daughter, first full-term pregnancy. The midwife tugs something trying to get afterbirth out, fails and hits the emergency buzzer. Loads of people rush in. One woman literally flings her hand up inside me and puts pressure on something. One of the surgeons asked her to move, and she said, as soon as I move my hand she is going to bleed out. Got a mask put on my face and I remember saying, please don't. Let me die, I've just had a daughter. Woke up with an oxygen mask on after receiving a blood transfusion. Lost so much blood. Was lucky to be alive. Blessed. My local hospital is amazing, and I'm so thankful for them every single day. Car crash. GF was doing 65 down the interstate after it had just rained lightly. Lost control and flipped the car. Went from a normal day to hanging upside down from the seats in less than 5 seconds. The skidding felt like forever though, and while bracing for impact I know death was on my mind. I'd like to point out that our seat belts prevented us from being supplexed onto our heads, wear them always. I choked on a sandwich. After a few moments I fell forward and started crawling for help. Mates walked past and thought I was messing around so walked off laughing. Things went dark, then the sandwich just shot out of my throat. The problem why being a joker is sometimes nobody takes you seriously. I have 2 swimming related ones, although not as dramatic as some other people's. First, when I was little, it was 1995, we went to As for Christmas as a family. I was running by the pool one day and somehow accidentally effed up my grandma's baby toe. Like broke her baby toe. I remember even then not remembering doing this, but she was obviously effed up. I was really sorry, but I was like 7, and what can you really do? Anyway, my effed up uncle decided to punish me for this the next time we were swimming in the pool by holding my feet onto his shoulders while he bobbed up and down underwater, so my head was popping in and out of the water. He could obviously hold his breath longer than I could, and I remember feeling absolutely terrified and powerless as I kept gasping for breath and trying to get the water out of nose each time I came back up and wondering when it would stop, and inhaling a ton of water. Definitely the most afraid I'd ever been in my life up to that point, and really thought I was going to breath in so much water I might die. Second time was at summer camp maybe 2 to 3 years later, and I had been joking around and teasing this lifeguard during swim time at the lake. There were long docks around the shallower areas and lots of kids around jumping off and climbing around on them. I remember walking away and jumping into the water, and while I was still underwater a kid jumped on top of me and I suddenly could not move at all, like my body was completely paralyzed. I don't know if it was shock or what, because it's never happened since and I wasn't actually injured, but I can still clearly see the green water in front of me as I floated there underwater, thinking this is really bad and I hope someone saw me go in. Thankfully Mr. Lifeguard did see me, and the next thing I remember is being hauled out of the water and gasping for breath for a long time. Scared the it out of me. Anyway, as you can probably imagine, I continue to have some issues around water and swimming. I also continue to hate my uncle, who continues to suck a lot. About 5 seconds ago, was browsing Reddit when my stomach felt weird and then it hurt. Looked down and saw a large bulge and I genuinely thought my intestines were going to burst, but it was just gas. On a more serious note, on July 17th at 5:32 am, 2018, I thought for sure I was done. Was trying to sleep when all of a sudden it felt like my heart stopped for a solid 5 seconds. My chest hurt and my vision was going dark when all of a sudden my heart kicked back and started pounding with a force and speed I have never felt before. Keep in mind I was a well-built, decently athletic 16-year with no heart issues to speak of in my family or my medical history. I was probably in the best shape of my life. I started to panic and hyperventilating, so I called 911, and around then I started to lose control of my limbs. Fast forward 7 minutes and the paramedics had arrived. My heart rate had come down significantly and it still read 176 BPM on the EKG. Went to the hospital, checked for heart damage, there was none. Doctors said it was idiopathic, and I went home. Little did I think this would be the start of 9 months of chronic disability and pain. Finally was diagnosed about 2 months ago and got treatment. I have very severe POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and just general dysautonomia. Think I spelled that right, and it's pretty disabling. I'm a lot better since I went to the US for treatment, but I'm still not back to normal. Went from 145 pounds, I'm only 5 feet 7 inches, to 110 pounds, and can't even go to school. SMH, sometimes life just hands you a ratty hand. Just an inch of snow on the road, and I'm an experienced driver in the northeast. Hit a curve just wrong, and spun my car into a ditch. Came about a foot away from a massive tree. My heart stopped, and then pounded out 200 beats in 10 seconds. Drove away without a problem. I was in summer camp and there was this boy. We were both 14ish. We had the same friend group but were acquaintances. He told me he loved me. I declined as he had anger issues. I walked through the woods as a shortcut to lunch. He came out of nowhere and chased me deep in where no one was. Talked about how he would have sex with me. Somehow, I got away. I had a breakdown and cried, but refused to tell the staff. I tried telling my mother and she didn't believe me. Because of that, I never spoke up about it. When I was 8 to 9, my family went to a hotel. My dad took me to the swimming pool area. Since I did not know how to swim, I would chill in the small pool which was 2 to 3 feet deep. I went in the pool and then started splashing around, having fun. But then something happened. When my dad went to buy some drinks, I was waving my hands in the pool when all of a sudden, my head sank underwater. I was trying to swim back up, but the water pressure was too strong for me. I thought that would be the end of me. After a few seconds of flapping around, I was finally able to get back up. My mom came to me. She said that she was searching for me. I immediately got out of the pool and got something to drink. Now, I always use swimming tires when I go in the pool.